What's up, everybody? I am your host, an average guy who can write a better movie than this piece of shit, and that is my co-host, a blind and deaf man who, despite his disabilities, can still see that this movie is trash.
And my voice disabilities,
Yeah,
which is right now the embodiment of this movie.
Yeah, this happens about every 6 episodes. You lose your voice.
Yeah,
Pretty common.
something like that.
Yeah.
I think this is like the fourth episode that we've done where my voice is fucked.
I feel like it's like the 6th, but who's counting?
Could be. Apparently you are.
Yeah. And welcome to the Grindhouse Syndicate, where it is finally time to hear this lost episode. Now, if you've been listening to us for a while, you have heard us mention this at least a few times. I think it's been 3 or 4 times we've actually talked about this episode, but I don't know if we've ever told everybody what happened to it. So if not, we'll catch everybody up real quick. So last year, we heard that David Howard Thornton, who, if you don't know, plays Art the Clown, was doing a horror version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And we were, needless to say, so fucking excited about this movie. And we immediately were like, we're going to cover it. We hadn't even seen it yet. We're like, we're just going to cover it because it's going to be like Terrifier, but the Grinch. Like, this is awesome. This is such a great idea.
Think of like Thanksgiving level, like funny, hilarious idea done in an awesome, brutal, fucking killing Christmas.
So because it wasn't streaming anywhere, I had to actually order it from Amazon twice because the first one arrived and it looked like a dog had destroyed it, like chewed it out. You remember that? Like how bad it was?
I know why now.
Yeah. But we finally get it and we watch it and we are like, fuck, this movie is bad. Like, what are we going to do? We don't have enough time to like write and research a whole other movie right now. So we decided to just say fuck it and we covered it. So we sit down and we drag our asses through 2 hours of talking about this thing and really trying not to trash it too much because, we don't really like to do that a lot on this show. But we get through it. We shut everything down. We go to bed. The next day, I go to edit it and I realize that the recording is only 30 minutes long. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So it turns out that our cheap mixer, because at that time the show didn't have like expensive or great stuff like it does now, the mixer just like shorted out not even halfway through the episode. So our coverage of the mean one was just lost to the universe. It's just gone.
The mixer literally could not handle how bad this movie was.
But I always said, I spent like 7 miserable hours writing just the plot for this movie, for the episode. People are going to hear it. Whether they like it or not, they're going to hear it. And here we are. We have made it to that point. And just a heads up, like we've said in the past, we don't really like trashing movies because, a lot of work goes into making them by a lot of people that don't really have any say-so on the final film. Plus, somebody out there likes this movie, so we don't really like to rain on somebody's parade. But the gloves are off on this one. I'm coming out swinging. I don't know about you, but I'm coming out swinging on this one.
Yeah, I got a lot to swing about.
Yeah.
I will say that upon the second watch, as awful as it is, and it's still a pile of dog shit, I didn't feel as bad after.
I will agree.
Because I had such high hopes on the first watch. And then I already knew that it was so awful going into the second watch. So it felt better.
My rating went up. I swore I would never watch this again. And I had to watch it again just to refresh my memory so I could remember how much I hated it. You know what? We should do a giveaway.
A giveaway.
Anybody who goes to our YouTube channel and comments on this episode and tells us a joke, a funny story, a picture of your balls painted like the Grinch. I don't care. Whatever can make us laugh the most and forget we ever saw it, they will win my personal copy. Signed by us, we'll sign it. We'll write whatever you want on it. I'll pay the shipping. I don't give a fuck. I'll even try to get it to you like before Christmas if I can. The only stipulation is just, live in the US, so I don't have to spend a lot of money on shipping. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. We will hook you up with this copy of the mean one. It's only been played, like 3 times or something ever?
But 4 times, I think.
4 times?
Twice a piece.
Yeah, that is a $25 value that I had to pay, and you will get it for free. I basically set $25 on fire so you didn't have to.
Yeah, 4 hours of our time.
So we'll do that. Yeah, go to the YouTube, the one for this episode, comment on there, and I don't know, man. Give us something, shoot us something. I don't even care what it is.
Yeah, everything's plugged in, everything's charged up, right? Nothing's
nothing is.
We cannot do this a third time.
No, there's not going to be a third time. There's no way. Also, you guys killed it with the Poughkeepsie Tapes episode on YouTube. You beat the algorithm with your comments and your likes and your thoughts and prayers. And because of that, it was pushed out to over like 15,000 people on YouTube, which is like, I don't know, like 10,000 or so less than our normal episodes. But considering the subject matter and some of the shit we said in it, it's pretty good. So definitely thank you. Great job.
Yeah, normally an episode like that gets squashed at about 1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So with that being said, we are covering Stephen Lamorte's, Lamort, I don't even fucking care.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter.
He made this.
The Mean One from 2022, and God help us.
Hello, boys and ghouls. If you want to stay up to date on what's going on with the show, talk about or submit your movie requests, or just say die, then I got good news for you. You can always find us at one of our social media accounts or our official website at Grindhouse.Horror.Pod.com, Facecrook at the Grindhouse Syndicate Horror Podcast, Instascam at GrindhouseSyndicate.Horror.Pod, and many gore, which you can always find links for in the show notes as always. And you know what I always say, the morgue, the merrier. So please subscribe or follow for alerts on new episodes. Now, back to the show, kiddies. Frights, camera, action.
And if you really love us and don't think we deserve a bag of coal this year or to have to ever watch this movie again, give us a review. All right, so ratings. So I actually got the ratings from now and from when we tried to do this a year ago. And they're different. Everyone else feels different about the movie too.
Everybody else watching it the second time.
Yeah. So the Rotten Tomatoes is 23%. No surprise there. Well, that was a well-earned 23%.
Is that now?
That's now. Which I'm pretty sure is the same rating House of a Thousand Corpses has on Rotten Tomatoes, which is absolutely absurd.
At least when we covered it. And these movies, those two movies are nowhere near in the same atmosphere.
No. IMDb gave it a 3.9 out of 10. I think that's too high. Letterboxd gave it, I agree with this, so we're at a 1.8 out of 5. Yeah, I'm more leaning towards that way. And this is surprising, the Google average audience rating is a 3.3 out of 5.
A lot of crackheads out there.
If you would like to watch this movie, you can currently find it streaming on Hulu, Sling TV, Amazon, Roku, and the Dumpster. The old ratings was so about a year ago. Rotten Tomatoes, it was a 17%. IMDb was a 3.7 out of 10, and Letterboxd was a 1.9 out of 5. So
God, it had a 3.7. But yeah, that was Letterboxd.
No. The 3.7 was IMDb, and that's out of 10.
Okay.
Letterboxd actually went down. It went from 1.8 it went from 1.9 to 1.8 out of 5. And then the IMDb and the Rotten Tomatoes slight bump. All right, so The Mean One is a 2022 American Christmas black comedy slasher film directed by Stephen Lamort and written by Flip and Finn Cobbler, which those cannot be their real names. Flip and Finn. Finn, yeah. Flip,
I remember this from the first time.
Yeah.
Old fucking Flip and Finn.
What, isn't a cobbler like a job back in the day?
A cobbler?
Yeah.
I think cobblers are like
It's
a
the people that
dessert.
I thought they were like the people that make the shoes, like put bottoms on shoes or something.
I don't know.
Somebody's going to be like, you're a fucking idiot. It is considered a horror retelling of the 2000s film adaptation of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It stars our man, Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton as the Grinch, which wasn't even enough to save this movie. It also stars Kristen Martin, Chase Mullins, John Bigham, Eric Baker, Flip Cobbler, and Amy Schumacher in supporting roles. It follows a young woman as she attempts to defend her childhood town from a green-skinned creature who goes on a murderous rampage during the holiday season. It was produced by Sleight of Hand's Production, Amy Rose Productions, Cali Pictures, and was distributed by Atlas Film Distributions.
I was so generous of them to put this movie out.
Yeah, thank you. It was released on December 9th of 2022. It has a runtime of 93 minutes. It is 93 minutes too long and had a box office of only 612,000. And to no one's surprise, received negative reviews from critics and us.
Bro, I thought when you first said that, I thought you were going to say $612.
$612, yeah. No filming location or budget info, but I will say this movie, a Christmas movie, it's kind of set in like the mountains of the goddamn desert.
It's like Nevada.
It's so...
That's one of my biggest complaints of the movie is when you're going to do Whoville or Newville, as they call it, you got to have the setting. And I get you can't do like, $10 million set. But at least go to like Colorado or something where it's fucking snowing.
You remember we covered Jack Frost, and that movie was a very, very low budget movie. And they actually did go somewhere where it snows. But that year, for some reason, they just didn't get any snow there. So they ended up having to fucking make a bunch of snow, and they were broke.
Do you remember what they made the snow out of?
The shit out of diapers.
Diapers, man.
Yeah.
Ripped up in a bunch of diapers.
That's fucking dedication, man. If this movie would have at least, been dedicated, I would told like Jack Frost. I give it a pass. Cool.
Yeah, we always try to give like the benefit of the doubt, especially when we look into these movies and find out a lot of the bullshit that
happens. Yeah,
that happens in trying to make it. This just does not get that pass.
No. So David Howard Thornton actually has a lot of experience playing the Grinch, having done national theatrical tours on the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical. And another interesting fact is that when he did his audition tape for Art the Clown and Terrifier, he actually did his Grinch impression. That helped him get the role.
I will say that the Grinch is the strong point of this movie. It is the only strong point.
Also, Crystal Martin, who plays Cindy You-Know-Who, is best known for her stunt work and stunt coordinator. So she's kind of a stunt woman. She's not kinda, she is a stunt woman. I don't know why I said it like that. Screenwriter Flip Cobbler also makes an appearance as a character named Lou, which is her father in this. And producer Amy Schumacher appears as the mayor of Newville.
So the actress that plays Cindy is a stunt woman.
She is?
Bro, she does a backwards roll off the couch that differs in this movie. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right, are you ready to dive into the plot of The Mean One?
Yeah, let's get into old Flip and Finn.
The old Cobbler brothers brought us this masterpiece.
Our research department came back. A cobbler is a shoemaker.
Oh, fucking nailed it. Yep. That was I don't know why I even know that. I don't know.
I don't know. That's
All those
never heard
history podcasts paying off. So we start off with a nighttime shot of the mountains, and when we pan down to this small town down in the valley, we see that it is Christmas time. Everyone has their houses decorated, lights up, and kids playing around the neighborhood. Then we see Santa putting presents under the tree of a sleeping family's home, and as he is doing this, we see a little girl creep downstairs. And we find out that her name is Cindy You-Know-Who. That's dumb. I mean, we're going to roll right into it.
I kind of found that funny.
It is, but it's also dumb.
Well, I feel like they got the character rights, but not the name right.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. And I don't, expect them to name her Cindy Lou Who, but I don't know, just like Cindy Who would have been fine. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of dumb. And then we hear a narrator explain that Cindy found Santa stealing her gifts, but she knew what to do. She takes off her Santa necklace and puts it on the neck of this fake thieving Santa and kisses him on the cheek, killing him with kindness and causing his heart to grow 3 times that day. But then the narrator tells us that is not how the story really went down. He explains that Cindy did give him the necklace and the kiss, but right after that, Cindy's mom comes into the room and is immediately startled by the sight of this fake Santa. She freaks out and she starts beating the absolute shit out of him with this giant nutcracker decoration. She tells Cindy to get back because he is a monster. She then accidentally drops the nutcracker decoration in the struggle of the fight. And we see that the nutcracker has this long nail protruding from it.
For some reason.
It makes absolutely no sense, but yeah. Fake Santa tries to escape, but accidentally hits the mom with his bag of presents. And this causes her to fall to the ground. And then we see the nail go through her neck, killing her. So one thing that this movie does that I hate is where you do a kill where you see a person getting like the killer goes to hit him, and then the next shot is the thing sticking out of their neck. You never see the kill. You just see the before and the after of the kill.
Yeah, that is one of my biggest complaints of this whole movie.
Yeah, because they do it a lot.
Yeah, and it reminds me of a CSI, a TV show where you see the kills. You get these quick camera movements, there's.
It's also they don't have to do the effect.
The camera guy's having a seizure and they're flipping back and forth, and then they skip to the aftermath essentially.
Yeah. So Cindy sees this and she starts screaming that the fake Santa is a monster. She calls him a monster multiple times. So fast forward to many, many years later, and we see a very grown-up Cindy and her father on a road trip. We learn that Cindy has been in a mental health treatment facility since her mother's death. Her and her father then moved away, keeping their old house. But now, Cindy's therapist thinks that it is time for her to head back, fix up the old house, and sell it so Cindy can finally have some closure. If this is all about closure, why not just put the house up for sale, then show up to sign the papers when somebody buys it, take a short tour, one last time in the afternoon, and boom, you're good. You got closure. You're good. Just roll out.
That wouldn't make for a very good movie.
Well, this therapist is in order to get closure, you have to, live in the goddamn house for a week during the holiday that your mother was brutally murdered.
And fight the Grinch to the death.
Yeah. Why not have to live in it a year? Why a week?
Fuck it. 3 years. 3 years. You got to go through at least 3 Christmases.
Cindy must live in the home in complete grades 3rd through 12, if the murder never happened, in order to get closure.
And it has to be decorated for Christmas.
All year long.
All year long. You have to learn to live in the Christmas that your mom was killed in.
Yeah. It's You simply adopted Christmas. I was born into it, molded by it. So Cindy and her dad plan on spending Christmas at the home one last time before they put it on the market. We then see that the town's name is Newville, and pretty much as soon as they arrive, they get pulled over. And this is where we meet one of our main characters, Officer Burke, and he is new in town. He just transferred to Newville a few weeks ago, and he informs them that their reindeer car decorations are illegal. Pretty much anything Christmas related in town limits are against the law. Oh, and Burke very obviously wants to give Cindy the D.
Yeah, I feel like this was a really, I guess they thought, slick way to get around decorating a whole town for Christmas and shooting in it.
Good point.
But that was the first, this is the first moment where I was like, okay, this isn't Whoville.
If you don't have the money to do a Christmas movie, don't do it.
Go to North Pole, Alaska. Shoot it there.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even have to pay for it.
Oh, yeah. There's Christmas shit everywhere. So they arrive at the old house, and of course, Cindy feels really weird and jumpy. Her dad tries to comfort her, but she says it's okay and that she has to face these bad memories while she is here. Later that night, Cindy has a bad dream about a creature with a furry green hand grabbing her. She wakes up in a panic, but her father runs in to console her. Her dad got there real fast. You think he was sleeping in front of the door? He's 2 seconds, he's in there.
Probably on edge.
Yeah. The next day, Cindy is sitting alone at the diner when we meet Mayor McBean. What kind of fucking name is that?
Well, this is the most politician ever.
McBean?
She wears a... Yeah.
Somebody was at McDonald's writing this and was like, what could we name this character? And they're drinking a iced coffee.
Isn't that a character from The Grinch?
McBean?
The name McBean?
Not that I'm aware of.
What's the mayor's name in The Grinch?
The fuck if I know. Is it McBean?
I don't know. I would assume it's close to that, but it's something else like McNut.
I'm about to give you one order of a McNut coming right up.
This bitch wears a fucking shirt with her face on it.
She is
so politician.
Totally one of those people. And we learn that she is running for re-election. We can tell that because she won't shut up about it. And she keeps sticking these little McBean stickers on everyone. So Cindy finishes up her coffee and goes to leave when in walks Deputy Burke and Sheriff Hooper. The sheriff and Cindy immediately recognize each other. We then get a short flashback of Cindy giving Sheriff Hooper the sketch of the man who killed her mom, which is just a kid's drawing of the Grinch in a Santa suit. We also see that Hooper tried to convince Cindy that it was a man in a green mask that did the murder. I'm surprised the cop wasn't like, are you sure this man didn't have brown skin instead of green? We could totally pin this on a brown skin guy. Yeah.
I feel like there's not many brown skinned people in this town.
No, but a cop's we'll pin it on the one that lives in here. So grown-up Cindy asks Sheriff Hooper if they ever found the man called the Christmas Killer, and he tells her no, because they never had a reliable description of the man. It's a mic drop.
That's such an asshole thing to say.
Yeah. Just then, Cindy's dad, Lou, walks in complaining that the town sells no Christmas decorations. This is the scene where Hooper tells Burke that Cindy's mind snapped after her mom was killed and she spent time in a mental hospital, and Burke's into it. He's totally into it. He's like, that's cool. I'm cool with that.
It's what I like about those mental illness girls.
Later on, we see that Lou and Cindy decorate the whole house for Christmas. They put up a tree, they got a wreath, lights on the banister, the whole 9 yards. When they are decorating, Lou looks at Cindy after they put up the tree and he says, "You know what's missing? Your mother's blood everywhere."
Gotta paint this shit red.
No, it's really just a star, but I thought that would be better. After all of that, Cindy goes to take the garbage outside, and when she tries to go back in, she finds that the door is now locked. We see Lou inside enjoying what I can only imagine is eggnog, when suddenly the electricity goes out. Lou then gets attacked from behind and tries to run to the door to escape. Cindy can now see Lou being viciously beaten through a small window in front of her. He is then stabbed in the stomach and slammed against the door. And Cindy is now face to face with her father when suddenly a sharpened candy cane decoration stabs through his head, causing his eye to pop right out in front of her. We then see the creature quickly steal all of Lou and Cindy's Christmas decorations and disappear up the chimney. Cindy awakes inside a hospital still in Newville. She is frantically trying to tell the nurse and Deputy Burke about what happened, and they just think she's lost her mind again. Mayor McBean stops by and asks the nurse how Cindy is doing. It's pretty obvious here that McBean knows a little more about what is going on than she says. Huge letdown with the first, well, I guess it's not the first kill, but the first kill of the now current present day story being a CGI kill.
Oh, yeah. It was awful. Like 90% of that was CGI.
Oh, 100%. So after Lou's funeral, Deputy Burke gives Cindy a ride home, and this is where she tells him that she's going to leave and go back home. And he's bummed. She even hits him with a handshake, which is not good.
Not a good sign.
Not a good sign when the girl you're interested in, you've been flirting with for days, hits you with a handshake. Yeah, it's not looking too promising. We then jump to a meeting between Mayor McBean and Sheriff Hooper, and they are discussing what to do about Cindy. And it is not 100% clear what they are talking about here, but basically they are saying that the Christmas killer is real, and they did something to get rid of him in order to save their town. And now that Cindy's back, the killer is also back. Maybe Cindy is the killer. While cleaning up Lou's blood from the hallway, Cindy finds a flower, and she decides to head into the mountains to search for this flower because maybe it will give her a clue as to who the killer is, which is kind of a stretch.
It's like a CSI thing.
Yeah, she's put it in the flower database and found out exactly where it grows.
Old Horatio.
Yeah. And as she's hiking through the mountains, she stops to take a rest. And this is the part of the movie where I was like, where's the goddamn snow?
This was the part of the movie where I'm like, where the fuck did they go?
Yeah.
This doesn't even look anywhere like where they were at in the beginning of this movie. This is like Nevada desert.
It's weird.
And she even looks up at the snowy mountain.
The snowy mountain.
And you can totally tell where she's at is not where she's looking at.
Well, at the beginning, too, when her and her dad are like driving in the car, like there's an above shot of them driving through a place that's literally covered in snow. And then they arrive in Arizona somehow. Yeah, I don't know.
This motherfucking Grinch not only stole Christmas forever in this town, but he literally canceled snow.
Yeah.
It's like it's too much like Christmas.
Stole all the snow. So she starts looking around using her camera, and she spots some other hikers in the distance. So she zooms in on them to take a picture, and suddenly a dark furry figure knocks her down, causing her camera to snap a photo and her to fall into a cave. And while down in that cave, she finds a bunch of old wallets. She then climbs back up and she finds the other hikers again through her camera lens. She then sees them holding up a mistletoe about to share a kiss when suddenly they get attacked by this dark furry beast, and immediately she rushes to help them. As the creature is stabbing one of the hikers, Cindy yells to get this thing's attention. The beast turns around and slowly we get our first look at the fucking Grinch. And he does like this animalistic growl at her and he shows her teeth. He looks awesome here. And she starts throwing rocks in his direction, like hitting him a bunch of times in like the face and stuff. And this eventually scares him off. He takes off.
Yeah, the Grinch is definitely the high point of this movie. They based it off of the Jim Carrey Grinch, and man, it looks
good.
awesome.
Yeah, it
It's like
looks fantastic.
and it's like his horror, not his horror, his Santa outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Is all like bloody and fucked up at this point.
And dirty.
Looks really good. So we get that awesome shot, followed by the most unrealistic fucking successful rock throwing I've ever seen in history.
Good thing she
This is
grew up.
like Elf when he's throwing the snowballs.
Yeah. So she grew up doing like rock throwing competitions, and she's just like really honed in her skill. We then see the medical personnel arrive along with Sheriff Hooper and Deputy Burke. Burke is trying to ask the hiker for a description of the attacker, but Cindy keeps trying to convince them it was the Christmas killer. The hiker then claims that she didn't see the attacker very well, and a very irritated Cindy gets pissed and ends up getting pulled off to the side with Sheriff Hooper. She tries to show him this blurry picture that she took when, she got knocked down. But he doesn't believe her, and he tells her to shut up about the Christmas killer and all the monster shit.
Yeah, this is a red flag. Like,
Yeah.
when you're like, I have a blurry picture of the killer, and the sheriff literally glimpses at it for a second.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't even try to like discern anything.
It's a bad picture, but you
It is,
would
but
still
you
look
would-
at it.
You would
Yeah.
still be like, okay, let me see what I can gather from this picture. No.
Yeah. Cindy then hands Burke the old wallet she found, and he agrees to look into it. She then goes around town putting up "Have you seen me" flyers with the picture she took with the description, big, furry, and green.
Bro, these are the worst flyers I've ever seen.
They're not good at all.
This is like if you took like a like 9-year-old
And had a
and
make
had
a
'em-
flyer.
go on like the Microsoft Paint
Yeah.
and make a flyer.
By the way, I looked the area code up for the number, and it's 515, which is Iowa. So, yeah.
That seems about right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
I
really
feel like Iowa's cornfields and shit.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like
you
they're in
know,
Nevada.
but they might have some like mountains up higher up in the state. I don't fucking know. I've never been to Iowa.
totally feel like I don't know. You may have it in the notes where they shot this, but this
Oh,
is
no, I
like
don't.
Northern California, Nevada.
Yeah, I agree.
Somewhere in there. You know those videos where like the like super smart PC people will do the codes on Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah.
and they'll like flood the whole city or change the weather. This is like if you took Whoville and you coded it to have no snow.
Yeah. So later on, we then see that Burke looks up the driver's license of the person whose wallet Cindy found, and it comes back to a man who went missing years ago. So next we see a van with the words SantaCon written on the side of it, and it is full of people dressed as Santas and elves. So they decide to stop off at this restaurant in Newville for some food. And they are obviously very drunk and acting like dumbasses.
This is so overwritten. Like these
It's
characters are awful.
One of these guys tells the waitress, "I'll make you my ho ho ho."
Yeah,
Just stop.
it's so bad.
Go home.
Why-
Go home. You're drunk.
And then she's like, "We don't have anything but sweet tea."
Oh my God!
Why would
is-
you even be open?
What? That I mean, how could they even afford to pay her just selling goddamn sweet tea?
Makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no
Whoville
sense.
literally has to like, they have pay this diner to be open.
No, it's like North Korea where it like looks open, but it's not. It can't really buy any food. So she then goes into the back to get their tea, and one of the drunk Santas follows her back there in the kitchen like a fucking weirdo. And after he attempts to touch her, she punches him, knocking him out, and continues to make their drinks. She then turns around and she sees a large streak of blood leading into the walk-in cooler. So she goes to check it out, and she finds the man dead inside with an icicle jammed into his throat.
Which would have been great to see
If only.
if, as a horror movie fan, an ice pick kill is a really good kill
Always
to get to
good.
see.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, hint. Flip and flop cobbler.
Back in the dining area, we see the Grinch lock the front door and stand up from behind the seat. This gets the SantaCon group group's attention as they look at him with concern. He pulls out a big candy cane and kills one of the Santas as he exits the bathroom, and this sends the room into panic as everyone starts to run in all different directions. We then pretty much get a murder montage with the Grinch killing these Santas and elves in a bunch of different ways, including stabbing people to death with the candy cane, stomping on a woman's head like a watermelon, slashing people with his long claws, strangling with the Christmas lights, and finally putting a Mrs. Claus in a big-ass meat grinder, which was a super lame-ass CGI kill. And why does this bar have a meat grinder?
I don't know, but for those who haven't seen this movie, I know that sounds like a lot of really cool shit to
It
see.
does, and it's not.
It's not.
It's not. So I will break down exactly how these kills go, because they either go one direction or the other. It's pretty much two ways. So half of them are like the Grinch like grabbing somebody and like throwing him into like a wall or like onto a table.
One of the guys literally gets a scratch on his face and dies. He gets scratched to death.
There's like four
it's like
people.
a cat scratch on his fucking face.
There's like 4 people that literally just get thrown into the bar or thrown into the wall and they die.
Weak.
And then the other half of the kills are just really bad, like CGI kills. That's it. That's all the stuff is.
The meat grinder could have been so cool.
And it's so bad.
You literally CGI'd the whole fucking
The whole
thing.
entire thing. Yeah.
Like I said, we were so excited when we heard this movie announced, and it was like, there's 3 things that you got to get. You only got to give us 3 things. You got to give us a good Whoville. I mean, if you're doing a Grinch story, you got to have a good Whoville. You got to have a good Grinch, and you got to have good kills. And they only got 1 out of those 3.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would have been more satisfied to get 2 out of the 3 than what we got. All we got was a good Grinch. That's it.
If they would have nailed those 3 things, we could have dealt with like awful acting and overwritten character. Look at something like Thanksgiving or something where
The acting is on par with Thanksgiving in this movie.
Yeah, and you even Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, like the acting is awful. Like it's awful, but it's watchable because we do at least get some cool kills. This completely just shit the bed on everything other than the Grinch that it needed to be what we thought it was going to be.
So later on, Cindy sees a news report about the Santa massacre when suddenly the power goes out. This is a really weird news report. It's like real fancy, like CNN or MSNBC, but it doesn't really tell anything. It's like, there was a massacre at a restaurant today. The waitress is in shock.
Don't all like, isn't that all like news networks?
Yeah,
They're fancy, but they don't actually tell us anything.
Yeah. But anyway, the Grinch then starts to break into Cindy's front door. So when she sees this, she starts to like fight him off, when suddenly he just kind of runs off on his own. So she then opens the door to discover a man who looks like a cross between Santa and an alcoholic bum.
Santa, is that you?
So he claims to have run off the creature and saved her life. They then agree to head to a bar and discuss what they call the big green creature. He then tells her that he has been watching her for years and knows about the Grinch killing her parents.
It's the creepiest shit you can ever tell somebody that you just met.
Especially a woman. And we then find out that his name is Zeus, but he goes by Doc, so Doc Zeus.
I do love that they made this character look
Yeah, I'm
like
fine
Santa.
with him.
I will say he is the best character outside of David Howard Thornton.
Agreed. He says that he goes by many names, but he calls him the Mean One. And 11 years ago, the Grinch killed his wife as she was dropping off Christmas presents at the post office. Apparently, the Grinch pulled an A-train and like cut his wife in half by running through her. That was confusing.
I don't know how he killed her, but at least we got to see her body land.
Well, it
We didn't get
shows
to
like
see it like cut in half.
he runs, he like tackles her, and then the next shot is her in half on the ground. and him nowhere to be seen.
And they don't like ever actually show the kills.
No.
But at least we got some practical effects of her cut in half.
This is true. He also tells her that the creature hates everything about Christmas and only attacks people who do anything Christmas related. He has made many statements to Sheriff Hooper, who refuses to believe him or do anything about it.
Oh, I will say his drawing of the Grinch, pretty spot on.
It's a pretty good drawing.
They spent more time on that drawing than they did those flyers, and we'll get later on in the movie with these pictures that they show.
Oh, God, yeah, I know. The next day, Deputy Burke goes down into the cave that Cindy told him about, and he finds a bunch of old wallets, which he collects and he takes back to the police station. He also finds in the cave a dead body under a sheet and accidentally steps on a Christmas singing stuffed animal. This sounds alerts the Grinch, who goes looking in the cave for the intruder. Burke manages to hide from him and eventually escapes while the Grinch disposes of the dead body.
Bro, this guy's awful. He literally sets this thing off twice.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give him a pass on the first one, but then he sets this like Christmas singing stuffed animal off again.
When he steps on that thing and he's hitting it, he's like telling it to shut up, trying to get it to shut off. It's like when like the kids finally fall asleep and they've been being assholes, and then you like step on one of their toys and you're like, no, shut up, you're gonna wake them up. Like it's that same kind of vibe.
Are you calling my kids assholes?
They're assholes sometimes, yeah. So upon exiting the cave, Burke runs it. Wait, I gotta go back. So in a minute, he's about to say, like, I think it's like when he's talking to Doc here, and he's like, yeah, I think something's going on up here. And I'm like, you think? You just found a fucking dead body.
Yeah,
he drug in another dead body in front of you, and you think something's going on here?
He literally asked him, why do you need a weapon? Like when Doc opens up the trunk, he's like, what are you doing with that? Why do you even need a weapon?
Because that thing kills people, as you just seen.
You are asking why somebody needs a weapon, and then you make the comment, you think something's going on here. Like, you literally just found not only decomposing bodies, but fresh bodies being dumped.
Like, are you high?
Which, by the way,
like what?
The police know about this massacre that happened. Did the Grinch go to the morgue and steal the bodies because they were still in the Christmas outfits? They reported this on the news, so they know a bunch of like people got slaughtered.
Pretty big hole there.
He went and snatched him.
I guess he did.
It's like, we can't have anybody even laying in the morgue in a Christmas outfit.
I don't know. Maybe he's like the Poughkeepsie Tapes killer, and he's like having sex with the bodies afterwards.
That's pretty grim.
It could be.
Only after he takes the Christmas.
He was dragging that body to his bedroom.
Maybe he needed the Christmas outfits. Like, maybe when he kills somebody in a Christmas outfit,
he could just stole the outfits from the morgue.
To update it.
It would be easier just to steal the outfits from the morgue than the whole body.
It's like, I cannot let them get a proper burial.
Yeah.
They were celebrating Christmas. Fuck their family.
So upon exiting the cave, Burke runs into Doc, who is up there like hunting the Grinch with this trunk full of guns. Later on that night, Cindy is having sex dreams about Burke when the Grinch rudely interrupts their steamy shower sex by killing Burke.
And nothing makes me more horny than being in the house after my parents were just killed.
Yeah. Cindy then, she gets real comfortable in there real quick.
Yeah.
Cindy then suddenly wakes up and decides that this is it. She's going to kill the Grinch once and for all. And it is at this point where we get an awesome training montage of Cindy learning how to fight, make explosives, and shoot guns, which that is the fakest looking fucking gun I've ever seen in a movie.
This whole montage is the cringiest shit. How is she a stunt actress?
How is she teaching herself these things? Like, when you don't know about guns, you would have to go to like a gun instructor, right? And they would teach you, and then, you'd learn what you need to work on, and you would practice and get better. Same thing with fighting. You don't know how to fight? Go to a fucking fighting instructor. she's just learning all this shit on her own and just like killing it.
They do a montage, which is probably like half a day of time. And she goes from not being able to fight, throw a punch, shoot a gun to being like
The best.
the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Like
And
she is now a lethal weapon.
and
She has to register those hands.
she also too, like, I don't know if you noticed, but when she first starts learning to shoot the gun, sounds like a regular gun. When she gets good at it and she's like nailing it, it sounds completely different. It's like that. I don't know. I've heard them use it in shows before. It's like that, like almost that metal click, like click, 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 click. Yeah, it's weird.
At one point, when she gets good at shooting the gun, they show the target where she's putting in like a really small grouping.
Yeah.
And it's like they CGI sparks coming off the paper target. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, I don't know. And so during this, we also see Burke looking up the IDs from the wallets he found. And it turns out that all of these people were declared missing after going hiking in the mountains of Newville. I want to say when Burke and Cindy are sitting by the fire and they're talking about these missing people and like the Grinch and all that, if this wasn't a monster movie, during this scene, this is the scene where I would have been like, oh, Burke's the killer. Because he's giving off like nice guy killer vibes for sure here.
Yeah, and her, like, she would be a major red herring. That if the Grinch wasn't involved in this, because all these kills just start happening when she comes back to town.
Yeah.
And everybody who's killed is with her.
Yeah. And then they would make like a red herring out of the Sheriff Hooper. He would be like a red herring.
This is if this movie was good.
Later that night, Doc gets pretty hammered in his car when suddenly Sheriff Hooper pulls up behind him. He talks with Doc for a few minutes and then decides to lock him up in jail until Christmas is over. Then we hop on over to a place called the Egg Diner, and an older gentleman who we assume is the owner is closing up for the night when he then gets a late delivery, and this, young guy drops off this pretty big box before heading out.
This giant box that's supposed to be bell peppers.
Yeah, it's a really big box of
How
bell peppers.
how could you think that the bell peppers were in that box?
So soon after, the diner owner suddenly realizes that this is the wrong package. He then opens it up and discovers that it is a box full of Christmas decorations. So he calls up the delivery driver and tells him, like, hey, you fucked up. And while he is waiting on him to return, he hears someone enter the diner. After the man goes and kind of checks it out and he locks the front door, he heads back to the kitchen where we see the Grinch sneak up and grab a big-ass meat cleaver. You can never go wrong with a meat cleaver. Even in a dumpster fire of a movie like this. This is actually, in my opinion, like the only time we get somewhat decent effects.
I agree. Yeah, it's the best looking kill in the movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the few kills that we somewhat get to see. I mean, they could have fucked it up. They
could
fucked up
have.
a meat grinder.
I did.
Like, it's hard to fuck up a meat grinder being awesome
It does
in a
one
horror
thing.
movie.
It does one thing.
But yeah, this was definitely
turns you into paste.
one of the better kills for sure.
So he then sneaks up behind the man as he cleans up the Christmas box, and as soon as he turns around, the Grinch puts the knife right into his forehead, killing him. We then see him chop off his head, arms, and legs and place his body parts into the box of Christmas decorations. A little while later, the delivery guy stops by and picks up the box, putting it into his truck. Then we see Sheriff Hooper parked outside Mayor McBean's house, and she seems to be loading up her car for what looks like an out-of-town trip. Hooper then kind of catches her trying to bail on the town and calls her out on it. She tries to lie about it at first, but Hooper tells her that other law enforcement has been looking into the disappearances around Newville, and she basically tells him to figure it out, because she's a mega bitch. Oh, and we find out here that before she was the mayor, she was Hooper's deputy, and now she's his boss, so there's definitely kind of a weird thing going on there.
The weird thing being she's the mega bitch to him.
Yep. He then says that he doesn't know what to do about it, and she tells him that if she goes down, she's taking him down with her. She then gets in the car and drives off, leaving Hooper holding the bag. And I also 100% believe that this bitch is stealing money from the town budget. She just gives me vibes like that. Yeah. Burke then shows up at Cindy's and tells her what he has found in his investigation. He pulls out some photos of
This is awful.
of the missing people who all happen to be avid hikers. And this is where we see some really, really bad Photoshop of what appears to be the Grinch in the background of these pictures. This may not even be Photoshop. Like, it looks like they might have cut out like a little picture of the Grinch, like a smaller picture, and like glued that on top of a stock image of a hiker.
Yeah, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen somebody put in a movie. Like, this is on pace with your trailer having people's faces blurred out.
One of them looks like somebody just drew his shadow in with a Sharpie.
When I seen this, I remember this when I watched it the first time. I was like, this cannot be fucking real. They literally bought like some clean stock photos,
Of
like some
hikers.
clean, like nice resolution stock photos. And then they took these blurry cutouts of the Grinch.
One of them like a smudge. I thought it was a smudge at first.
Yeah, it's awful. Like
It's
the
bad.
resolutions don't match up at all. The cutouts aren't good.
The lighting of
If
him, and
you
then he's
looked
like
at
lit differently in the background.
If you looked at these pictures, you would instantly be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever noticed these.
He also finds a website that was set up to invite people to go hiking in Newville's mountains.
This would also make Burke look like the killer.
Yeah.
Did you Photoshop these pictures?
It's like we're writing a better movie. It ends up being a slasher, but it's not like a monster slasher. It's like just a whodunit. It's a Scream. So yeah, they got this fake website, and this website invites people to go hiking in Newville's mountains between Thanksgiving and New Year's. The creator of the site attempted to keep their identity secret, but Burke figured out it was created by Mayor McBitch. I mean McBean.
Bro, did you catch when he brings up who the website's registered to? It's registered to Mayor McBean. Like, she legally changed her first name to Mayor.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, if you're trying to hide some shit, why would you
good old Mayor McBitch.
registered under Mayor McBean?
Yeah. So she had been luring hikers to the mountains in order to keep the Grinch fed and satisfied. We then notice that Cindy is wearing all black now, so I guess she has completed her transition into Special Forces badass ninja bitch. As a matter of fact, when she's talking to Burke about killing the monster, she's acting like she's like this soldier who's seen all this like combat, and the Grinch is like a high value target or something. Like 30 minutes ago, she was this scared, sad, broken woman who had like this major PTSD, and now all of a sudden she's like fucking Steven Seagal in 1990s.
Yeah, she's like happy too.
Yeah,
She's like happy to go hunting.
Yep. This is also where Burke discovers Cindy's like newly acquired arsenal. He tries to talk her out of going after the Grinch and seeking revenge, but despite his attempts to show her the way to forgiveness, she tells him basically to fuck off.
I love how he asked her, like, you gotta forgive yourself. And she's like, I haven't done anything wrong. And he's like, yeah, but you're going to. Like, you want me to forgive myself for something that I might do in the future?
That if I forgive
For
myself, I
killing this-
won't do?
Yeah. For killing this, like, serial killer, essentially.
Burke says, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering.
This was some of the worst writing. Like, whoever wrote this shit,
Yeah.
they were like, wait a minute. What is he supposed to be asking her to forgive herself for? The future. That's what it is. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you make in the future.
That you won't make if you forgive yourself in this moment. Then we jump on over to McBean's escape attempt, and we see that her car is starting to break down. Did you notice that when it's showing like the RPMs going crazy, that the dash says the car is in park. So they just put the car in park and just revved it a bunch of times.
That doesn't surprise me with this movie.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised they didn't like just CGI a dash.
But her car breaks down in what looks like the woods. Man.
Yeah, we have now went from the
road.
desert of Nevada to the woods of Wisconsin.
So her car breaks down and she gets out and she tries to fix it when we then see the Grinch sneak up behind her and attack her. He bites a giant chunk out of her face before dragging her to the back of the car. He strangles her with a roll of her campaign stickers, which is hilarious. And then he cuts her head off with the trunk lid of the car. We then get a shot of her severed head lying in the dirt with a "Vote for Mayor McBean" sticker placed over her mouth, which was a good touch.
If this happened to most politicians, stick a nice "I voted" sticker over their fucking face, the world might be a better place for it.
I voted for you to not be alive anymore.
But what about she about turned into Mechanic McBean? She got out with like a wrench and popped her hood like she was about to fix some shit.
We then jump on over to the police station where we see Burke confront Hooper over the missing hikers and the website. And Hooper finally admits that him and McBitch devised this plan to basically save the town after years of murders around Christmas. And then he also says, "Oh yeah, and we embezzled a bunch of the town's money." And then Burke's like, "What?" And he's like, "Nothing."
I didn't say anything.
When Sheriff Hooper tries to feed the Grinch a goat, he just throws a Christmas goat over the goat.
That's one of the funnier parts of this movie is like, even if it's like a Christmas bell, the Grinch comes out of nowhere. It's like, I cannot have any fucking Christmas anywhere.
They should have leaned on that a little harder. But Hooper justifies this by saying that even though the hikers were getting killed, the townspeople were being saved. Because being a cop is in my blood and I made an oath to protect this town, god damn it. It's like every cop in a horror movie has this mindset. So Burke is pretty pissed after all this, and he tells Hooper that he is going up to the mountains to kill the Grinch. Hooper then tries to talk him out of it, but unfortunately he does not succeed. And Hooper, who is feeling ashamed about all of this, lets Doc out of jail before leaving the station. So next we see Cindy just hanging out at home, putting up Christmas decorations as a way to lure the monster, when suddenly she hears one of her booby traps go off. And she does this super cool combat ninja roll across the living room floor before grabbing a knife and going outside.
It's so bad.
Like, what are you doing?
So bad. I can't believe how bad it is. Like, another thing, like, literally, if there's a Christmas hat shows up, we just talked about it. Like, the Grinch is out of nowhere. But yet, she has spent probably 8 hours decorating this house in Christmas shit. And the Grinch is nowhere to be found. He can smell a trap.
Yeah, you can smell a Christmas trap. So, upon investigation, she finds that Doc, who is probably wasted, has gotten caught in one of her traps and is like hanging upside down from the tree.
How'd he get wasted so fast? He was just in jail.
He just did. He that's the first thing. He didn't go to Cindy's house immediately. He went to the liquor store, fucking chugged 3 bottles of vodka, and then went to her house.
It's like, I gotta save Burke, but I gotta go to the liquor first.
So he's like Popeye. He needs a spinach, man.
It's like,
I'm no good to you sober. I'm no good.
The trailer park. He's like Mr. Leahy. Gotta get the liquor, Randy. Gotta get the liquor, Burke.
So he then tells her that Burke went up into the mountains to kill the Grinch and they need to go after him.
Shit Grinch.
So as Burke walks up to the Grinch's cave, he begins to sing Jingle All the Way, which he clearly doesn't know the words to. He knows the dreidel song though. But he ends up falling into a trap and injuring his leg. And as the Grinch approaches to kill him, he is saved by Sheriff Hooper. And Hooper tells him to go and that he will hold off the creature. Because, you know, being a cop's in his blood and he took an oath to protect the people of this town.
You know, for one, Burke is the worst. He is the worst. He literally, the first time he came here, he almost got himself killed with the stuffed animal twice. And now, as soon as he shows up, he steps on a fucking bear trap. This dude is the worst cop.
Yeah.
Like, there's no crime that goes on. He doesn't have to be a detective.
Unless you have reindeer stuff on your car.
And then they're gonna make Sheriff Hooper the hero.
The hero we all need but don't deserve.
After murdering people for 20 years.
Hundreds of people. He's forgiven. He saved one guy. Makes up for like 300 people he's killed.
He did it. He baptized himself in the bathtub real quick, and he's good to go.
Pretty much
He's a hero.
Jesus now. Cindy and Doc then decide that because it's Christmas Eve, they must trap and kill the Grinch at Cindy's house tonight. We then skip on over to Cindy's house, and we see that she has decorated the outside of her house in Christmas lights and decorations, trying to bring the Grinch to her. As she lies asleep on the couch, we see that the Grinch has arrived and is watching her through the window. He then sneaks in and creeps on over to her, and as he goes to grab her, she throws the blanket off her body and ninja kicks him across the room like a fucking boss. So she was faking the whole time. We then see a green laser shine through the window and onto his chest. We hear multiple gunshots, and this is where we discover that Doc is fucking snipering from the front yard. And he yells, "Merry Christmas, you green bitch."
That's the best line of the movie.
It is.
It really is.
The Grinch lets out a loud roar and turns around to see Cindy in a tactical vest with fucking ornaments clipped to it like grenades and holding a shotgun that is now painted like a candy cane.
This movie went so far away from what I pictured it when I heard it announced. Like we have Rambo. We have Cindy Lou Who Rambo.
Move over, Sarah Connor. We got a new badass bitch on the block. Cindy, you know who.
Bro, that I can't get over that like combat role she did off of the couch.
What about
It's so bad. How can she actually be a stunt actress? No offense if she's listening. Maybe they told her like it's gotta be goofy. If your combat role looks too good, it won't fit in with the movie.
What about how her and Doc's got fucking hand signals now? They got like military hand signals.
Yeah, and he just got
When did
out
they?
of jail.
He was in jail. They had no time to develop these signals. So she fires the shotgun at him, but the Grinch has pulled a ghost face and up and vanished. As Doc is looking through the scope of his rifle, the Grinch attacks him from behind and begins beating him. Cindy hears this and runs out to help, where she does a sweet ass fucking hood slide only to instantly get backhanded by the Grinch's furry green hand.
Bro, she could have shot him with the shotgun.
She didn't need to do the
like
hood
from
slide.
literally 5 foot away, but instead she decides to slide across this hood and get fucked up.
Oh man, you know what you need right here is a couple of those Little John whats. What? But once again, the Grinch has vanished. Cindy then attempts to help Doc recover, but he tells her no, for her to leave him and get back to the safe zone. Because now they got military sayings too.
And why is this the safe zone? Like what about this zone is safe?
I don't know. The Grinch then attacks her, but she lets off her whole magazine into his chest, which doesn't really affect him.
Well,
But
his heart's too small to hit.
Yeah. But he does get his leg caught in a bear trap. Cindy then picks up a random baseball bat out of nowhere with Christmas lights wrapped around it. Don't know how that works. We then get a pretty intense like hand-to-hand combat fight between the two, ending with the Grinch slicing Cindy's side open with his sharp claws.
Bro, why is this bat laying like
I don't know.
70 feet away from the house wrapped in lights? Did she stash weapons everywhere? Like
Obviously.
any scenario.
Obviously she did.
Is there like some Christmas tree wrapped like butcher knives under the bed?
Yeah. So she runs off with the Grinch chasing behind her. She then suddenly spins backwards, throwing a tree ornament grenade at him, which explodes on his chest.
She made grenades.
She made grenades. Cindy then stumbles back into the house, very obviously injured. The Grinch catches up with her and they go back to fighting hand to hand again. And this time he's like kicking her ass. Then all of a sudden we hear Doc play Christmas music over the loudspeaker from the cop car outside. And this distracts the Grinch as he holds his ears and yells in pain. Cindy then lights a fuse that burns towards the Christmas tree where the Grinch is standing. We then see that the tree was laced with explosives and the living room goes up in flames.
Bro, people that haven't seen this are going to not think that this is real.
This is a
They're
real
going to think
movie.
we did like a prank episode.
This is a real movie and you can own it. You can win it. Keep that in mind. So Cindy then climbs on top of him with a knife and she's going to kill him. But she freezes up. She then discovers that he is wearing the Santa necklace that she gave him as a kid. We then get a flashback of when Cindy's mom attacked the Grinch, and we kind of see it from his perspective, and he was actually like horrified when he accidentally like knocked her over onto the ground and like the nail went into her neck.
Yeah, she fell on the weapon that she was trying to kill him with.
So he just killed this woman and he's like feeling really bad about it and he's like freaking out. And then, little bitch Cindy starts screaming that he's this like monster. And the guilt and the anger of this just drove him mad. And he now hates Christmas and he's going to become an actual monster. So that's how this all happened.
His heart shrunk 3 sizes.
Yep, it did. And Cindy decided not to kill him and in this moment to forgive him.
Yeah, because murdering hundreds of people and your parents is forgiven because he kept this necklace.
Yeah. So she gently touches his face and kisses him on the cheek. The Grinch is stunned by this, but very happy, and his heart starts to grow 3 sizes, and then it explodes, killing him instantly.
I love how he rolls over like he rolled over on a grenade to save her too.
He sacrificed himself from his exploding heart.
He's like, my dad died this way. I know it's about to happen.
Cindy just didn't know like the Grinch was suffering from heart disease and diabetes. So next we see a news report that Cindy's blurry picture has went viral. People are obsessed with the mean one. They're making TikTok videos and YouTube videos about it. But this is causing people to flock to Newville in search of the new Bigfoot. This is probably the most realistic thing in the movie.
Bro, what about when they show all the people like going to hike to look for him?
Yeah.
It's all like the resolution is so much better than the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's
just all stock
footage.
Stock footage that they paid for of people hiking. They just literally bought the most basic people hiking footage and put it in the movie.
There's one guy that thinks that this is just a government conspiracy to distract us from raising our taxes. Yeah, accurate. But now the Grinch is dead. We see that Christmas is back in Newville. The town is doing great from all the tourism, and Cindy and Burke are now officially fookin'. And Doc is doing great. He's drunk as ever. He's still around. And we end with the new sheriff, who is Burke, telling Cindy that the federal authorities came and confiscated everything to do with the Grinch. They took his body. They took all the evidence. They must have also done an autopsy because he tells her that the cause of death is officially that his heart exploded. Burke and Cindy kiss under the mistletoe, and thankfully that is the end of the mean one. We made it to the end. There is I didn't see it this time, but if I remember right, there's a after credit scene where somebody gets that box of the Christmas ornaments that got sent to the diner by accident, and they open it up and it's the fucking dude's body parts.
Yeah, she's like a influencer doing a video, and she's like, "Oh, I finally got my Christmas decorations," and opens it up, and although her Christmas decorations would have been like 180 pounds, it was this whole guy cut up. She's like, "Damn, they really hooked me up with a lot of decorations."
Don't have a lot of facts about this. It's not a big movie, but the title, The Mean One, is actually taken from the original song used in the 1966 animated TV special. And the restaurant named Horton's is a reference to the Dr. Seuss book, Horton Hears a Who.
It must really not be a lot of facts
It's
for
not.
that to be the fact.
That's all I got,
Where
man.
the meme one came from.
Yeah, that's all I got. So ratings and kill count. So I guess back when I wrote this, I didn't actually write out how they died. I just wrote who died. So we got a total of 19 kills. We got, it's sad. You have 19 kills and 18 of them suck.
That's
Wow.
pretty bad.
Wow. You know, I'll say 17 and a half because I will give half a point for when we got to see Doc's wife somewhat in half.
Yeah.
So we got Cindy's mom, you have Cindy's dad, unnamed man 2, unnamed man 3. That goes on for a while. Unnamed woman, unnamed man, blah, 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 blah. Then you have Zeus's wife. Then you have Dawn, which was the cook from the restaurant. Mayor McBitch. There was that girl Stephanie that was in the cave that she was like missing her eyes or whatever. And then the Grinch being number 17. Best kill, I guess this is my pick. Did you go first last week?
Yeah, I
okay.
did.
So best kill, obviously, hands down, the fucking egg diner guy. What you got?
Yeah, I went with the restaurant guy, killed with the meat cleaver.
Yeah, hands down.
And a second being Doc's wife getting cut in half.
The only two decent things in this whole thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard choice.
No. All right, so rating. So the last time, a year ago, when I wrote this episode, I rated this bad boy a 1.3.
Well, wait until you hear mine.
I did go up to 1.6 because I will say it was better this time. Even not once I had just all my fucks had just left. I was like, okay, whatever.
The expectations were at the floor, literally.
Yeah. All right. So what'd you give it?
You're not even gonna do an explanation.
Oh yeah. I guess I should. I feel like we've spent the past, I don't know, hour and 17 minutes giving an explanation, but man, the only thing good about this shit is is Doc. I like him in the Grinch. David Howard Thornton as the fucking Grinch. It's a shame that they wasted David Howard Thornton's talent on this movie. And I don't think he would do a movie like this bad now, but back then I think he'd only done the first it was 2022, so Terrifier 2 hadn't come out yet when this come out, or at least came out the same year. So, this was before his big, him blowing up in Terrifier 2.
I could see him doing this movie because he loves horror.
Yeah, because he's doing the Steamboat. But man, I don't know if it's not the movie, it's not the plot.
Steamboat's got to be better than this.
I fucking hope so. It's not the plot. Like, he would totally do a stupid idea like this. I just don't know if he would be like, look at this movie and be like, yeah, this is going to go good, because it's not.
Well, reading it on paper, like when you read all the kills that happen in the script, you probably thought it was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have any control over that.
No, yeah. But this movie drops the ball, man, in so many ways. Like we said, if you for some reason can't go and film at a place where there's snow, at least try to do something. But you cannot have a movie that is based off of fucking Whoville in the fucking desert, man. Like, you can't. I would have rather seen it take place at like upstate New York or something in the fall with like orange leaves everywhere than this. Yeah. This is literally the only thing that'd be worse if they did this in space.
The Grinch in space.
The Grinch in space, which sounds amazing.
The Grinch stole space.
Man, the Grinch stole gravity. No gravity anywhere. But yeah, I feel like, I'll tell you what makes me mad about this movie. I feel like this was a cash grab. That's what this is, in my opinion. This was a cash grab where they said, hey, let's make a fucking Grinch horror movie and they literally just slapped everything together as quick as they could. Didn't put a ton of thought into the movie itself. They were like, oh, we'll just go wherever it's cheapest to film. We'll go film there, and we'll do all CGI, like shitty, cheap CGI instead. Because you can't tell me, like, when you look at, like, Terrifier, that you couldn't go and buy some fucking fake blood and some stuff like that. That would have been better than the CGI. Even if you didn't know what you were doing, it would still have been better.
Did we get a budget on this?
No.
Because Terrifier was made with, the first one was like $36,000.
And it took 3 years.
And it literally has some of the best practical effects that you'll see in a movie.
Yeah, even if we would have got half of that, half of the kind of effects that we see in Terrifier in this, I would have been satisfied.
Bro, the strongest kill in this movie would have been weak as fucking Terrifier.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. I've seen better effects going to one of those, like, haunted houses on Halloween,
It's bad.
I've literally seen people do better than most of what I've seen here. And that's sad.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I feel like it was just, hey, let's make this and try to make what we can make off of it. And who cares if the movie's really good or not. I will say, though, surprisingly, they did do a fantastic job with the Grinch outfit. I don't know where, their care came from all of a sudden when it came to the Grinch himself, because it didn't seem like they gave a fuck about the rest of the movie. But that was really good. And him, like David Howard Thornton in the outfit, is literally the whole entire 1.6 I gave it. So yeah, that's it. I'm so fucking glad to have done this episode and been done with it.
So I gave this, on my original rating, I gave this a 0.8.
Good God. Wow. You really
and that was all in the Grinch. Yeah. So upon rewatching, I gave it a 1.7. I was so fucking excited when I heard this movie being announced, like picturing the potential of it. And what we got was awful. Like I said, you had to hit 3 points. You had to have Whoville decent. I get you can't build a fucking $10 million Whoville set, but you could have went to like Breckenridge, Colorado or something and shot it. So they fucked that up. The kills needed to be good. They fucked that up. The Grinch needed to be good. They actually nailed the Grinch. Like the makeup effects and costume people that did the Grinch did a fantastic job. They were by far the best part of this movie.
They're like the only people that showed up to work, wanting to do a good job.
Yeah, so I guess they did this 20 years in the future, and I don't know if they did that to get around having to have a whole town decorated like Christmas. But when I heard this movie announced, I pictured it as the beginning of this movie, like when she's a little girl and the whole town's Christmassy and the Grinch is going and killing people. That's what I wanted. Not this like 20 years into the future. Whoville has nothing to do with Christmas. Like it's like illegal. Like you don't think of that. You think of like this whole Christmas town and the Grinch trying to shut Christmas down by going and murdering people. And I mean, I think if you got the right people involved, meaning everybody else except David Howard Thornton and a whole new group of, like you gave Damian Leone and David Howard Thornton did a prequel to this, starting at the 20 years where he started his murder spree. You could have an awesome
It'd
movie.
be amazing.
Yeah, you could have a really, really awesome movie. It just failed in so many ways.
Like if we were doing this movie, like we were producers or whatever, or a director, and we're doing this movie and we're sitting around a table, we're having our meeting, production meeting or whatever, and you look at me and you say, well, here's the problem. We can't do snow. And I would look at you and be like, well, we can't do the movie.
Yeah.
There's a couple things you have to have. That's the equivalent of saying, well, we can't get a Grinch costume. Okay, well, we can't do the movie.
Yeah.
Can't do the Grinch.
They should have dumped every bit of money they had on location, the Grinch, and practical effects for the kills.
Yep.
Everything else could have been terrible because the acting was still terrible. Like it was
I'm
still
fine
awful.
with that. I'm
And
totally fine with that.
So there's two ways to do this. You either have a really serious movie, or with a story like this, you can go Thanksgiving, which is where everything is so awful on purpose, it's funny. This movie kind of did the in-between to the more serious side, which is the same mistake that Jack Frost made.
Yeah.
You remember Jack Frost could have been hilarious, but they tried to make it too serious.
Yeah.
And it failed in that aspect. And I feel like that's a very similar thing with this movie. I want to see a serious version of this, but if you don't have the resources or the budget or the talent to make that happen, do a Thanksgiving type version of it where it's just funny. Like it's so bad, it's funny. This is so bad, it's not funny.
I feel like a bigger budget version of this would be like, like what the Wayans brothers do with Scary Movie. Like if I'm going to see a goofy version of this and you got money, like it should be on par with something like that. Cause you have so much to work with this story. And I just cannot believe that this is what they did. Like,
Bro, if they could do a big budget serious version of this with like with like a Damian Leone, or fuck it, give it to Rob, somebody who's gonna do like some brutal killing and actually show us some good shit. Like that's when I heard this, that's what I thought of, the Grinch slaughtering people. Who's celebrating Christmas getting fucking brutally murdered by the Grinch? That is awesome.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that. Like if they could get the budget to build a Whoville and do it Christmas and have good practical effects, which we now know you can have amazing practical effects on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
We could have an awesome movie. But unfortunately, they did the opposite of all of that. And that's why it was the biggest letdown, I think, of last year for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, man, this is a letdown. But hey, if you want to see it, if you want to own it, comment on the YouTube of this episode. Tell us something funny. That's all we want. We want something that we laugh so much we forget about this experience. I mean, honestly, like realistically, I've seen it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now because I had to write it a couple times last year. And, I'm not to the point where I'm like, oh, I can't stand to see it come on. But yeah, I mean, it's just a disappointing movie. But honestly, like I could watch it again next year. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. But
and that's why I upped my rating on it, because I had so much excitement going into it. Coming out of it last year, I had literally a 0.8.
What'd you up it to again?
A 1.7.
Okay, yeah, you jumped pretty high. So we're pretty close. I'm at a 1.6. You're at 1.7. So
yeah, I mean it's not something that I'll never watch again, but it's definitely the letdown of how much potential that it had is what really killed it for me.
Yeah. Once again, we thank you guys for listening. Please give us a follow or like if you enjoyed the show. Check out the website. Check out the socials. Tell a friend, a family member, or your local mall Santa about the show. And I think next week's episode is OG Black Christmas. So tune in for that.
It'll be a better episode.
It'll be a much better movie, much better episode.
And hopefully I have my voice.
Let's hope. But yeah, we hope to see you next time. You got any last words?
Merry Christmas, you green bitch.
This movie's heart is 3 times too shitty.